wish it were otherwise, but Sir Gregor is beyond saving. Well beyond. This man is not even a maester, let alone Grand Maester.
That's for the best. No maester knows how to save him.
That is exactly the sort of arrogance that had him expelled from the Citadel, Your Grace. His curiosity was deemed dangerous and unnatural. Rightly so.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 prediction video. Today I want to do somewhat of a character breakdown video on Qyburn, but what I really want to talk about is what his plans are for the future. Qyburn has been working for Cersei for many years now, but he is still a very mysterious character who may have a hidden agenda of his own. Qyburn is a former maester of the Citadel, but he was stripped of his chain and thrown out after he was caught doing some very unethical experiments. It is common for maesters to perform autopsies on dead bodies, but Qyburn took this a step further. He started to do experiments on people that were still alive, and this is a no-no in the eyes of the Citadel. Qyburn may be a disgrace according to other maesters, but his unorthodox methods have made him one of the most knowledgeable healers in all of Westeros. After he was kicked out of the Citadel, we really don't know what Qyburn was up to after this. In Season 3, he somehow ends up as one of the prisoners at Harrenhal. He was badly wounded, but he does survive and he stays at Harrenhal where he begins to serve Roose Bolton. And this is how he meets Jaime Lannister and ultimately ends up healing Jaime's infected stump, and he also helps escort Jaime back to King's Landing. In Season 4, Qyburn enters Cersei's service and he has been extremely loyal to her ever since. Any tasks she sets upon him, he has been able to see to its completion. And as of right now, it doesn't seem like this is going to change. But we still don't know if Qyburn has his own ulterior motives. You have to wonder if he is serving Cersei so that he can put himself in position to complete his own secret plans. It's really hard to say what his true intentions are because Qyburn is always kind of just hanging out in the background. And he doesn't associate with too many other people for us to see if he has any plans of his own. One thing everyone can say about him is he is extremely effective at his work. He basically brought the Mountain back from the dead. Not only did he save him, but you can say the Mountain is stronger and more loyal now than he has ever been. The Mountain has vowed to never speak until he kills all of Cersei's enemies. Can you imagine if Qyburn was able to do this with every soldier in the Lannister army? That would make one hell of a force. I think Cersei should consider herself lucky to have Qyburn in her service. He is largely responsible for keeping Cersei in power, which she has rewarded him handsomely by making this disgraced former maester the Hand of the Queen to the Seven Kingdoms. Qyburn was the one who ensured that the Septa Baelor would be sitting on a ticking time bomb of wildfire. He was also the one who had the Scorpions made to take down Dany's dragons, and I think both of these weapons will come into play once again in the final season. And it will be Qyburn to be the one to make sure of this. He didn't have a huge role in Season 7, but the things he did were very useful for Cersei. But there was one thing that Qyburn did do that intrigued me, and this was in the Dragon Pit. During the Wight presentation, Qyburn expressed great interest in these inhuman creatures.
We can destroy them by burning them.
Qyburn did not appear to be startled, but instead he was very interested in how the Wights worked. He picked up the Wight's hand and he began to study it for a few moments until Jon took the hand and demonstrated that it could be killed with fire. And you have to imagine Qyburn was taking note of everything that was happening. This is Qyburn's bread and butter. His life's work is understanding the human anatomy. And I am curious to know if Qyburn has his own plans for the Army of the Dead. The Mountain is a perfect example that proves Qyburn studies necromancy, and he may be wondering if he can figure out a way to raise an entire force of his own. On the other hand, Qyburn may be thinking of a way he can stop the Army of the Dead. He heard Jon say that fire can stop them, and I have always believed ever since Season 6 ended that Qyburn has been busy making more wildfire behind the scenes.
Is it just a rumor or something more?
More. Much more.
We might not see Qyburn that often, but he is always doing things without us knowing. He was looking into the wildfire before the Sept was blown up, and he already had a scorpion made before we even knew he was looking into it. When Qyburn saw the destruction of the Septa Baelor, you have to think he wanted to have more wildfire made, or at the very least find all of the other hidden caches of wildfire underneath King's Landing. Cersei was definitely scared of that Wight when it came charging after her, and I wouldn't be surprised if she went to Qyburn and made sure more wildfire was available, just in case the army of the dead make it that far south. Plus, Cersei would probably blow up the city before she ever stepped down from the throne and bent the knee to Daenerys or Jon. Now that Cersei and Qyburn know the Wights can be killed with fire, I would expect to see more wildfire next season. But I think the most interesting thing of all is Qyburn's fascination with the human anatomy and his experiments with the dark arts. Qyburn and the Night King both practice necromancy in a sense, and I am wondering if there will be any connection in terms of the endgame, or how the army of the dead are ultimately defeated. Qyburn's knowledge with how the human body works could become even more useful now than ever before. We have seen the Night King bring several different species back to life, and he is obviously using some kind of ancient magic to be able to do this. But you have to wonder if Qyburn will figure out a way to tap into this magic on the same scale as well. We have seen him sort of do this with the Mountain, but if he was able to channel the exact same magic the Night King uses, he may be able to figure out a way to counteract it, or create an army of his own. This is assuming Qyburn would be willing to use his skills for the betterment of Westeros, but considering who Qyburn works for, he may end up using this knowledge for something much darker. If Qyburn was able to discover how to raise an entire army that would act under his commands, you just know Cersei would use this against Daenerys and Jon. Qyburn has been dabbling in these dark arts for quite some time now, and if there was going to come a time to where he was going to master this practice, it would be in the final season, when everything is put onto the table. During an interview, the actor who plays Qyburn was asked about the scene when he was holding the Wight's hand, and when he was asked what his character was thinking, this is what he said. "That's where his head is, you know. The world could end in 5 minutes, but he is absolutely focused on, I have never seen this before. This is amazing. I could really do things with this." I thought that was a very interesting thing to say. Now we know the actors and actresses aren't allowed to reveal anything, but I would like to think this could become a plot point next season. What are Qyburn's plans for the Army of the Dead? Now that he has witnessed it firsthand, what is going through his mind? I am hoping we get another sneak peek of Qyburn working in his lab, because I would like to see what kind of crazy creation he comes up with next. I think they've shown us Qyburn picking up that hand for a reason, and I doubt that was just a throwaway scene, not with what Qyburn already knows. I believe this mad scientist will get back to work and possibly figure out exactly how to tap into this magic that raises the dead. I just hope he uses any newfound knowledge to help defeat them, instead of raising an army for Cersei. I told everyone on my Patreon that I was going to be making this video next, that way I could feature some of your thoughts in the video, and this is what some of you had to say. Casey Lee says, Qyburn intrigues me. We first see him with the dead in Harrenhal, but nothing is known of him before. Why would a failed maester be with an army marching on the mountain who was thought to be there still? Who was he before? Richard says, I think that Qyburn can come up with a way other than fire, dragonglass, and Valyrian steel to kill them. After what he did to the mountain and the scorpions, there's nothing that he could do that would surprise me. He makes Cersei more dangerous. Shadow says, I think he was trying to figure out the Night King's method or spells. I would like any info on his backstory. He maybe figure out how to kill the Night King, or maybe even prevent people from being raised as Wights by use of dragonglass or another color or magic and potions. Or he can raise the dead himself, Frankenstein style, to fight against the Wights. That's a bit of tinfoil, but oh well, it's a long night. I don't think that's tinfoil at all. I think Qyburn is definitely capable of doing something like this. I completely agree with what all of you had to say, and I am interested in learning more about this mysterious mad scientist known as Qyburn, Hand of the Queen. Let me know what you think down below. What are your thoughts on Qyburn? Do you think he has any plans for the Army of the Dead? I would like to see what everyone has to say about this topic. Thanks for stopping by to check out the video. I really appreciate that, and thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.